What a month March has been. I low-key forgot that you people actually watch my videos with just one thing being released this month on the channel. But hopefully it gets better. But on to what I actually watched this month. And I started this month with Dress to Kill by Brian Del Palma. And in my humble opinion, I thought this film was pretty good. I really don't want to use the B word for it, but were specific aspects for me, especially towards the end. I just felt like it was a drag and disconnected me from the film. But that could have just been as a result of the fact that I watched the extended cut. At least that's what Prime described it as. But watching the film at an hour and 45 minutes, how much of the film was really extended? And Google also puts this film at that same 105-minute length, so Prime, you have some explaining to do. But overall, it's just a glorified murder mystery, and I enjoyed it for that. And it was also funny, and just seeing how badly this film aged. And that final segment, was that really necessary? Then 4 years later, Brian De Palma made a reboot of the film that I just watched, and slightly not as good, in my opinion. I love Brian. Don't get me wrong, I love Scarface. The first Mission Impossible film is just phenomenal. That film is timeless. And I feel you see more of the De Palma theme here, the flair in this rendition of this same movie. But as dumb as the first film was, this one was somehow dumber. And I guess I just got tired of the BS this film was doing, because it had this part that was just completely disconnected. Like, it's where the protagonist goes into this particular movie business, and at that point I was just confused as to what I was watching. Then the film comes back to his original story, like he just didn't take me from the jungle to the freaking Antarctica and back to the jungle. It was a bit weird. Then I watched two of my favorite films of all time again, just to see how they hold up in my rankings, starting with Palm Springs. And I can't lie, this was, I think, probably my fifth time watching this, including once that I watched it with the director and cast commentary. Like, the fact that I watched the film in that format and I was entertained just speaks of how highly I rated it. But I'm not saying it's falling off or it's bad, but I think I just cheated myself of rating this film too highly for this fifth viewing, and I expected myself to just be swept off my feet again. But still, the movie's a 10 out of 10. The chemistry from the two leads are just, it's there. Although I just feel like we didn't see much from them, but it doesn't matter. It's funny, it's sweet, it's entertaining, and yeah, it falls behind Silver Lining Playbook at the moment, which I feel I need to rewatch, but I feel also a rewatch of that movie will destroy my rankings. But Palm Springs is great, and it's everything I love about the genre. Then the next film I watched this month was Million Dollar Baby. And the funny thing about this movie is that this was always my go-to pick. If somebody asked me, what's your favorite film of all time? Million Dollar Baby was always my answer. And I'm pleased to say, after the rewatch, I think I'll just keep this to myself for now. Million Dollar Baby was still good. Like, its success in the Oscars speaks for how good it was as a film. Clint Eastwood is simply the GOAT, and he does it all in this film. It gets super emotional and carries me through all of it. And the cast for this film is simply immaculate. I can just spend time talking about the award-winning performances from each major cast member. But I just want to talk about the little guys. Like, we have to appreciate the little guys in this film. And the way the script and the writing just goes high and behold to just like uplift the main story. And the main person I want to talk about is Mike Coulter. Like, he doesn't really do much in the film, don't get me wrong, he's just in the beginning, but just the weight he carried for the development of Clint's character is just portrayed really well. I don't know how to explain it. You just have to watch this movie to understand. And it just gives it just adds weight, especially when you see the downfall of Hilary Swank's character, and it just gives you this level of guilt. No, I won't say guilt. I don't know, man. I can't explain it. Just watch the movie and you understand what I'm talking about. Also, that dude, Hiccup, is in this, and it was just a delight to see him there. There is just so much talent on screen, and it's not fair. Million Dollar Baby is simply amazing. And then on the topic of movies that are like my favorite of all time, I rewatched something that has been something of my personality on this channel, which is Babylon. And this picture is simply amazing. The party scene at the start is just creatively a masterpiece. Everyone involved in this, from the music to the animal trainers to the whole choreography team, the dancers. When we see Margot hit the dance floor, I just wish I was that guy, and all of that was just incredible. The relationship between Nelly and Manuel, I was actually reading the screenplay, and well, something that didn't really translate into the film that is on the screenplay is how throughout the film, don't get me wrong, we see it here. Do not get me wrong, we see the start as soon as Nelly, no, I'm always mixing up their names. As soon as Manuel lays his eyes on Nelly, he's just like in love. You can clearly see that. But who wouldn't be? It's Margot Robbie, let's be honest. but there were just parts that were in the screenplay that like were supposed to show parts of jealousy, but we didn't see that in the movie. But to be fair, this was my first time actually reading a screenplay, and I'm pretty sure they cut out some stuff whilst filming or in the editing or whatever. But regardless, I'd have loved to see some of those things actually being shown in the film, especially I think it's also added more weight to the end, but the movie's already 3 hours long, so it makes sense that they cut it off. And upon a rewatch, this film just hits me with that same vibe again, and it's just one of my favorite films of all time. And I thought watching La La Land would absolutely discard my opinion of Babylon, because the way I saw La La Land was like, I thought La La Land was going to be Babylon, but toned down and just be a better film. And well, it's definitely one of those things, at least for me. And just hear me out. The film just never caught me and resonated with me, and just ended up being a film that I watched in like 6 instances. I could just never make it through its entire runtime in one sitting, which is something I always prefer to do. I think the music from Justin Hurwitz is simply magical. You can tell like most of the music he composed here, he sort of used it in Babylon. It has like this same tone, and let's be honest, the Academy robbed him in Babylon, so I'm happy that he won something on this film. The cinematography and specific scenes, the direction from Damien Chazelle is simply magical, but that is just everything but the story, which I did not enjoy. It's a romantic musical. I'm not the biggest fan of musicals, but like if you do your other job well, which is just be a good romance film, I wouldn't care one bit. But the characters just felt stale and boring, and the chemistry just was not there between Ryan and Emma, for me at least, because apparently I'm the only one that doesn't see that. But congratulations on Emma for Oscar win here, even though I don't know, I feel like it wasn't really an Oscar worthy performance, but that's just my dumb opinion about this movie. But her winning her Oscar for Poor Things just felt more deserved, and she was really, really good in Poor Things. And on the topic of Poor Things, I really enjoyed this film. Although the film is not really my type of movie, there were definitely stuff on here that I liked and stuff that I thought were done extremely well. And some of the stuff that I'm referring to were stuff like the production design and costume design, which just beats off Barbie at the Oscars, which speaks for itself. And also the music and sound just elevates the entire experience of this film. It adds this weird craft that the film is trying to do. But I do feel like it did stretch a bit too long, especially towards the end. Like the entire part with her husband, did we actually need that? But to contradict myself, it did elevate the ending, but like I feel like they could have wrapped it up with what happened before. But love the style of this film, and I will repeat, Emma was really, really good in it. But I do think the Academy robbed my lily. Speaking of the Academy robberies, I watched The Iron Claw, and this film was simply breathtaking. This was just a really well told story, an extremely emotional film, and the way the film just locked me in from the start, I cannot describe it. The editing and direction is just good, and I was invested in its ups and downs, at the tragedy, the heartbreak. I truly felt every emotion. Also a shout out to Zac Efron's terrific portrayal of this broken character. You feel his pain, you feel his betrayal, you feel his he's just really good in this. I haven't watched Rustin, but screw you, Coleman Domingo. That should have been my Zac up there as the nominee. I love what A24 do as a distributor, studio, whatever they are, but I find that their movies are just a bit different. But this feels simple, and I just loved it for that. A simple, good film based loosely on a true story. Because I heard that they toned it down, bit unlike A24 if you ask me, but I highly recommend you watch The Iron Claw. And speaking of Zac Efron, I watched Ricky Stanicky. And I'm just going to keep this brief, but hear me out. I had a good time.
Why you boring me? I'm right.
Was it funny? Not really. But were there a couple chuckles here and there? Yep. See, I'm going to admit it now. I'm like one of the biggest John Cena fans out there. I just love the trajectory he's going with this, his acting career. And I love him in this. Even though he literally just plays his character from Vacation Friends again, allow it. It's so entertaining. And to deep it, this film is basically just Vacation Friends again, because they meet John Cena in a trip, and then he's not really their conventional type of friend, but then he comes to their city to technically be their fake friend, or their fake friend basically. And then he's now like conveniently good at almost everything, and he's coincidentally succeeds to do stuff on the whim. Like, we've seen this before. This is just Vacation Friends. The film's ending is just complete BS, and I love it for that. And I feel overall this is not a 2-hour film, man. Cut this thing down to 90 minutes, 100 minutes maximum. And from two films with bulky men to another film with two bulky men in this, and I watched Roadhouse. Wanted to do a review on this, but I just did not like the movie. And it felt like a streaming film. And guess what? It is a streaming film. I don't know where that extra budget that they used to make it a streaming film went to. And Doug Liman saying this is Jake Gyllenhaal's best performance. Stop the glaze. Just stop lying. And I was actually excited to see this film like a while back because I saw some behind the scenes footage of when Jake was fighting in the UFC. And I'm pleased to say that those scenes are only in this movie for like 30 seconds. I don't know what's with movies nowadays in doing this. Like, that thing look cool. Let's see it. And I saw a review of this film, like on Discussing Film, saying that the CGI was bad. And I was watching this, like, how would you make a film like this with bad CGI? Like, what are you CGIing in the movie? And then you watch the one-take fight sequences and you see what they're talking about. And this is crazy because I never really noticed this stuff, but like I can clearly see that this is just a PS4 cutscene. But Conor McGregor was in this and he was in most of the promotion I saw after watching the movie. I love the fact that they were really pushing him in there just for people to watch this. But he was fun, not my personal style, the way he was acting this over the top. But see, I know he will resonate for some certain audiences. And yeah, it's on streaming because that is where it deserves to be. I also watched Drive Away Dolls this month, and this was good. Ethan Coen, the master of stretching a premise, but this was actually good without needing that. Coming in at 84 minutes, but that is my one problem with this film. I love the short film format, but please, why does this film feel so poorly paced? Aside that little inconvenience, I did love the Blue Bayou and just the use of music in this film. And did I mention this film is simply funny? Shout out Coleman Domingo. I apologize what I said earlier. I was not familiar with your game. But the main stars here are the two female leads. The back and forth between them was just super funny and they were so entertaining. And you know when you just watch someone and you're like, damn, these people are talented. That is what I just saw here between the two of them. And I hope the both of them have illustrious careers. But Margaret Quarrel in particular as Jamie, I hope I got her name right. She was just really, really good in this. Like, I can recommend this film just for her performance alone. And speaking of young actors, I watched Lisa Frankenstein, and this was also a really fun watch. And I loved almost every moment of it, although some parts felt like they were going on for too long, and I would say the ending was a bit of a mess. But I think this is something on a rewatch I will enjoy way more, and it will just marinate for me and has the potential to be something of a classic. And I mentioned the young actors and actresses in this were so fun, and that combined with the style of the film just combined to make it a fun and enjoyable rom-com, I guess. And to conclude the month, I watched Godzilla vs Kong, the one that came out in 2021. And gosh, that final fight, all I could think of was the damage that these beasts were causing the innocent bystanders of Hong Kong. Like, couldn't they just fight in like their realm or something? Like, I just wanted to get my beef noodle soup, not to be freaking King Kong's air mattress. And I love how short this film is to keep the budget down probably, but the human bits bearable in this movie as compared to something I watched after. But yeah, the human bits were just bearable. As I felt more in the middle with the serious group, it got quite boring. But I did like the relationship between Millie Bobby Brown and Brian in the fun group though. And Julian was just there for vibes. And then I actually ended this month with the sequel to this film, which I did not enjoy too much, especially when compared to the 2021 film. If you want to know what I think about Kong x Godzilla, just watch my video. I appreciate if you watch the video, but you don't have to. But thanks, man. And onto television. I watched quite the number of TV shows this month actually, starting with The Walking Dead's The Ones Who Live. I think I talked about it briefly on my previous Everything I Watch video. I'm currently doing some episodes on TikTok. I actually didn't do the last episode. I was lazy, okay? I promise, I don't know if I'm promising it or not, but hopefully we'll have a separate review for it in a couple days. If I don't do it, don't worry, Invincible will be done. But I don't know. I will try my best to do a separate review for it. But so far, I'm actually quite loving it a bit. It started off really slow, but it was building, and it's currently, I can't wait for the season finale. But I did watch The Gentleman, the TV show. I know I did not deliver on my promise on that, which is also making my point that I'm going to do a video on The Walking Dead, not really stand. But hey, no surprise, the movie is just better. Although I feel like they are vastly unconnected though, which is a shame because I really wanted to see like Charlie or Matthew, not even like see them, just like a reference or something. But I think some of the episodes in this, not even some, most of the episodes in this were really solid, especially for a Netflix show. Guy Ritchie actually directed a few. I loved episode 2. He directed that. That was probably one of my favorite episodes. And I think the two leads were amazing, and the chemistry between them, just when they were working together, when they were fighting, when they had their fallouts, they were just phenomenal together. And I don't know if to get a season 2, but if it gets a season 2, I'll actually watch the season 2 of this. And I think I finally watched Invincible this month, which is just incredible. Like, the level it went up from the first part to the second part is just, it's bonkers. I remember I mentioned in my mid-season review that it was too early to judge it, that they're still building for the second part or the season 3 or whatever. But if you deep it, this second part has not even like really touched any of the things that it built on in the first part, which is just insane considering the fact that this has just been an amazing trail of episodes, and I cannot wait to see the season finale in a few days. But yeah, that just wraps it up with everything I watched in March. Can't promise more uploads till May because of school, but I'll try my best. We'll see what I can come up with between now and the middle of May. But thank you for watching this video. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you're new, and hopefully I will see you next time. Thank you for watching again. Peace.
Baby, you holla at me, be a coaster.
And Jesus, son of God. Well, what is he then? Does that make him a demigod? There are no demigods, you fucking pagan.